Welcome to Healthy Mama Hacks, a weekly mini podcast where I share my best tips for hacking your healthy mama life with simple tips for easier eating, cooking, and living a healthy mama life in 20-ish minutes, about the time it takes you to fold a load of laundry. So let's do this, mama. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Healthy Mama Hacks. I'm Kristin Dovbniak, your host, and today we are diving into number 2 in our running series. I am a seasoned runner that has been running for over 17 years. I have done at least a dozen 10-milers, several half marathons, and 2 full marathons, and I just love to run. So today, and in this series, I'm not showing up as an expert. I am showing up as a seasoned runner who wants to give you some of my best tips and hacks for getting into running, continuing to run, or improving your running. And one of the things I get asked often, especially over on social media when I talk about my running journey, is what is my favorite this type of gear or that type of gear? So I want to kind of share those with you today, but I also want to share that the best thing about running is that it doesn't require a ton of gear. It doesn't require a gym membership. It is an outside, fresh air kind of activity. Unless, of course, you do want to run on a treadmill, which is 100% okay. It's just not my style. So there are a few things that I enjoy and that I use often within my running journey, but really, all you need to start running is some comfortable clothes and some shoes that fit. Other than that, you don't need anything else. So everything I'm going to share with you today are the things that make running for me easier, more enjoyable, and also help me in different ways. I will share those things with you kind of as we go. They help me with my endurance runs, or they help me with the weather, things like that. But none of these, other than clothes and shoes, are necessities. So I kind of want to premise it with that. I also want to mention that all of these things that I mentioned, or almost all of them, I will link in my Amazon shop. So if you want to see them, obviously if you shop through my Amazon shop, I receive a very small commission, like very, very small. So if you don't, you can just search for these items. If you don't want to give me commission, you can search for these items. That's okay. But if you want direct links to them, I will put a link in the show notes. And I have a whole kind of running section. I think it's called a list, running list with most of these items on it, whichever ones I can link. I can't link my favorite Lululemon running shirt, but things like that will be linked if you want to know the exact items I am talking about. So let's go ahead and let's dive in. I have 12 items here that are my favorite when it comes to running gear. Number 1, first and foremost, this is not going to be a surprise, but shoes. It's really important. I mentioned this in the last episode to get yourself fitted for good running shoes if you can, but at least going to a store, getting your arch measured, and knowing what way, whether you are an overpronator, an underpronator, or neutral, just these 2 things will really help you to find shoes that work for you and literally will work for you on your running journey instead of against you. You will avoid things like calluses, blisters, right? Blisters, I guess calluses are sometimes inevitable if you get blisters, but you'll avoid blisters. You'll avoid things like shin splints if you've got good shoes. And understanding kind of what type of shoe you enjoy as well, trying on several shoes if it has a track that you can run on. This is going to be really helpful because I like shoes that have a little bit of support, but I also like my shoes to be pretty lightweight. I don't like my shoes to be super heavy. I don't like a big heel on my running shoes like some of the more popular running shoes these days. So I like something a little bit more lightweight. So my favorite brands that I've used in the past and I really enjoy are Asics or Brooks. Both of those are really solid brands. But you can find a brand that works for you and that works for your feet. Those brands just work for me. Those are my favorite running gear. The Asics that I wear are actually pretty inexpensive. I had to go look them up. They are the Asics GT 2000. I am neutral. I'm a neutral pronator, and I have a neutral arch as well. It's slightly high, but pretty neutral. These work really well for me. They run anywhere from about $90 to $110, depending on if you're getting like this season or last season's shoes. And I think they're pretty awesome. And so for me, I need to buy a new pair of shoes 2 to 3 times a year, depending on my mileage. So I like that they're not like $250. You don't need to go super expensive, but you do want a decent pair of shoes if you're going to be running more consistently. So that's my favorite. Asics. I've enjoyed the Brooks Ghost as well, but right now I'm really liking the Asics GT 2000. They are not, like I said, $250 super fancy professional runner shoes, but I don't think I need that. I've run 2 marathons in those exact shoes, and they're great. So those are my favorites. Number 2, clothes. Okay. Loose-fitting clothes are recommended for running oftentimes, but it's honestly whatever you feel comfortable in. I oftentimes don't enjoy running in a loose-fitting top because I feel like it chafes a little bit, especially like under my arms. Where my arms are moving, you can't see me, but I'm moving my arms forward and back. By the way, when you run, do you know that you're supposed to run north-south, not east-west? Okay, quick little tip for you there. I see this all the time. You know those, like, the picture of, like, the lady power walking with her arms crossing in front of her? No, north-south, not east-west. So I tend to like shirts that are a little bit more fitted. So my favorite shirts in the whole wide world are the Lululemon running. It's a Lululemon running shirt. And Gosh, I should have come more prepared for this. I need to know the exact name of the shirt. It is called the Swiftly Tech shirt, and I like it in both the short sleeve and the long sleeve. I feel like the long sleeve is the perfect early spring or early to late fall long sleeve because it wicks sweat, so I'm not like soaking wet, but it keeps me warm. It keeps my arms warm. I don't like when my arms are cold when I'm running, so I absolutely love the Lululemon, either the short sleeves for late spring, summertime, early fall, or the long sleeve for kind of mid to late fall, early spring when it's still a little chilly or it's getting a little bit chilly. And so I'll typically pair that with some leggings. My favorite running leggings I will link them on Amazon. They're actually on Amazon. They're only $25. Sometimes they're a little more depending on the color you pick, but they're great. They have a little bit of compression to them, so they kind of hold everything in. I don't feel like anything's moving around or jiggling while I'm running, which I really like. And I tend to run in leggings just because that's what feels best for me when it comes to running. I don't like chafing. We'll talk more about chafing later because it's a real thing. So I'll usually wear the Lululemon running shirt and leggings. I've gotten asked several times, I have these great Athleta tank tops. They do not make them anymore. I will try to find and by the way, I will have a whole blog post with all of these things. I mentioned the Amazon list that I will have with everything I can link on Amazon, but I'll also have all of these things linked on a blog post as well. I should have mentioned that. I'll have all these things linked. So I use these tank tops I got like 5 years ago at Athleta. There's a very similar Lululemon version as well that I've worn in the past as well. So I will link both of those. I will run in tanks from time to time, but most of the time I like the short sleeve or the long sleeve and leggings, or in the summertime when it's really hot, I do like running with shorts. I will run in either bike shorts, so longer bike shorts, or running shorts. And I like the kind with shorts underneath. So that's just my preference. If they have shorts underneath, it kind of prevents some of that chafing, which does happen no matter what your body size is for a lot of people, myself included. So those are my preferred ones, and I get them on Amazon. I will link those as well. So that's kind of my running uniform. Like I mentioned, if it's a little bit colder, I will wear that Lululemon long sleeve and a vest over it usually, or I will wear a very tight-fitting, no strings, zip-up, lightweight sweatshirt, like an athletic sweatshirt. My favorite is also by Lululemon. It is called the Define Jacket. It is not made for running, but I like it. It works for me. So that is kind of my typical running uniform. Those are my favorites. I have been wearing all of those for years and years and years and years. when it's extra cold, I also run with a headband, and I've cycled these through year after year. The most recent one I got at Target. They usually have pretty good cold weather running gear when it gets kind of colder. And I will also use running gloves as well. Mine are by Nike. So something else that I think that we tend to disregard is great socks. Oh my gosh. Great socks when you're running make such a difference. I like socks, and most people like socks, I think, that are cushioned but breathable and they don't rub. So I like socks that are kind of no-show, but you still kind of see a little bit of the top, because if not, I find that the no-show socks tend to kind of rub around my ankles, and that's just uncomfortable, and I don't need blisters on my ankles. So it kind of depends on your shoes. Look for the ones that don't cause chafe, and I do like the ones that are a little bit cushioned, but not overly cushioned. So I actually found some great ones at Target. There's also some that I get off of Amazon. So great pair of socks along with a great pair of shoes. They're going to make your runs so much better. So I'll link the ones that I enjoy. Okay, my third favorite piece of running gear, I consider this an essential if you want to run with your phone, and that is a running belt. So I like the brand Flip Belt. I've been using this one for years. I've had several Flip Belts, and the one I have now, my husband and kiddos got me last year as part of my birthday present, and it's called the Elite, and I have water bottles that go with it too that fit into it. So if you're going to do more endurance running, they have these slim water bottles that kind of, it's interesting. It is a stretchy belt, but it has a zipper. The regular Flip Belts don't have a zipper. This one the Elite one has a zipper on it. And there are little pockets. There's a little spot for your keys in there. If you're going to go running away from your car or your house and you want to have your keys, there's a little hook to put your keys on. There is a pocket in the front where I will put my phone, and then there's little sections on the side where you pop in water bottles, and I also will put fuel in there as well. So I think the running belt is essential. I will link my favorite ones because I usually bring my keys with me. I usually bring at least my keys with me, my phone, and if I'm going longer than 8 to 10 miles, I will also bring fuel and water with me. And I like the option to be able to bring multiple water bottles if I'm doing an even longer run. Also, I will bring my ID with me if I'm going for a run longer than an hour, just because I like to be safe. I run on a bike path, but it's good to be safe. I know that they have like runner ID, like wristlets and anklets and things like that, but I don't have one of those. I just bring my ID in my Flip Belt. Doesn't fall out because it's zipped in. A portable water bottle is also something that is very, very helpful for running. Again, I use the ones from Flip Belt, and I always wear my Flip Belt, but if I need a third water bottle, because I have several of them, the leggings that I wear also have pockets on the side. And so I will put one all the way down. They're long pockets and they stay flush against your legs. So I don't feel like it adds a ton of extra weight. And I usually go and drink that water first because you can kind of feel it on your leg. It's not the greatest, but if you're running 20 miles, believe me, you want water. So I will usually put that in my pocket, and that'll be the first one that I drink to lighten up my legs a little bit. And then the other ones I'll keep in my Flip Belt. So portable water bottle, pretty invaluable. Number 5, a hat or headband. Okay, I like the Lululemon Fast and Free or the Nike Women's Featherlight hat. For some reason last year, I got into a phase of running without hats. And the reason was the hat that I had before kind of got super worn out, and I ended up donating it. It lost all of its holding power in terms of the band on the back, and so I just got rid of it, and I hadn't replaced it. This year, I'm coming in strong with a brand new hat because a hat is very, very helpful, especially if you don't run with sunglasses, which I don't because I have prescription sunglasses and they cost a lot of money and I do not want to lose them while I'm running. And so I run with a hat, and that helps to keep the sun out of my eyes, and it also helps a little bit of that sweat as well. So, the head sweat. If you know, you know. So those are my favorites. I promised I would mention a running watch. So number 6 is a running watch. Do I think you need a running watch or an Apple Watch or anything like that to be a runner? Absolutely not. You can use your phone as GPS. I have the Strava app that I've used. If I don't wear my running watch, that's great. My husband introduced me to that one, so I'll give him credit for that. Not that he's listening to this. He is not a runner. But I have the Garmin 245. It's not the cheapest running watch. It's not the most expensive running watch. It's very helpful, I find, to track your pace, and it has GPS, so it'll track your exact mileage as well. So I like, being an endurance runner, having a running watch. There is nothing like being able to just look down. It buzzes every time I hit a mile, so I have kind of an idea of how far I've gone. But I usually keep it covered. If I have long sleeves, I don't stare at it all the time because it can be easy to get obsessed with how far you've gone, what pace you're at. So judge where you're at and whether it could be something positive for your running experience or negative. I don't think it's necessary, but that is my favorite. And I've had several running watches before that I have not had great experiences with. So I'm not going to call out those brands, but Garmin is through and through, never let me down. The Garmin 245 is the one I use, and I love it. Actually had a very sad moment when I was climbing a mountain last summer, and I was actually at the summit, scaling the summit, which is very small, literally rock climbing, and I banged my watch, and I was like, I thought it was going to shatter. It didn't. Very thankful it didn't shatter, but it is kind of beat up now. But you know what? It was worth it for the view at the top. Okay, number 7. This is an essential for any of my running ladies whose thighs touch, which is most of us. Okay. Mega Babe Thigh Rescue. That's all I'm going to say. You can get it at Target. There are other ones, Body Glide. I like the Mega Babe Thigh Rescue. It's a little bit more on the natural side, and it works. So I use it in between the thighs, and I also will use it kind of where kind of above and below my bra strap will sometimes, not my strap because I wear a sports bra, but the band. There we go. The band will sometimes chafe a little bit, so I'll put it under there. And then sometimes if I'm wearing a tank top, kind of where my arms might hit my sides when I'm running, I'll put it there. Just slather it all over your body. Just, all over. Just kidding. Yeah, I actually only go through one in a season, but I do use it before my long runs, and it is a game changer. Game changer. Okay, number 8, a reflector vest if you are going to run in the early morning or evening. I mentioned that I'm not running in the early morning right now because it's dark. It's also still cold early in the morning here. It's late March when I'm recording this. So when it's warmer and I run in the early morning or if you run in the evening, I don't run in the evening. Already mentioned that. Having a reflector vest is really helpful. I will link the ones that I got off of Amazon. It was a 2 or a 3 pack. I think it was a 3 pack. One of them we keep in our camping bin. And they're very inexpensive. I want to say it was under $15. If that, maybe $12 for 3 of them. And I just wear them around my torso so that cars can see me when it's dark. Number 9, sport earbuds. I ran with cords for the longest time, which is fine, but oh my goodness, getting sport earbuds. I have AirPods that I use just in my day-to-day life, listening to music, listening to podcasts, Zoom calls, all of those things. But there's nothing like getting the sport ones that actually stay in your ears. Mine have a little band that go over your ear. They have the version that doesn't. Mine is by the brand JLab. They were about $70 when I bought them, but I think they're less on Amazon now. I want to say they're closer to $40 or $50 on Amazon. So they're not crazy expensive. What I really like about the sport earbuds is that they have a mode where you can tap it and you can still hear your outside surroundings. So if you're in busy traffic, I turn that mode off when I'm on the bike path and it's early in the morning and there's no one around me and I just want to focus on my run. But most of the time, if it's a busy morning or if I'm anywhere near traffic, I turn it on so I can actually hear what's going on around me to be safe. So sport earbuds are great. Number 10 is electrolytes. I'm going to share more of my favorite fuel in the next episode because this is another question that I get asked. This whole series is based on questions I get asked. So I will share more of my favorite fuel and we'll talk about fueling during running in the next episode. But electrolytes are a must, especially in the heat, especially when it gets hot. So I use 2 types of electrolytes. I use liquid IV. I will oftentimes bring these with me on a run and have one packet with me on a run, and I will have one after. They have some carbs in them, so they're a little bit like a sports drink, and I find them incredibly effective for rehydrating. This is not sponsored by them. I'd be open to it though. They're great. So I noticed last year, in other times of my life when I've been in training for longer distances, half marathons, I have gotten a lot of, if I've gotten a little bit dehydrated or my electrolytes are lower than they should be, I have gotten leg cramps either running or at night. When I use Liquid IV, I don't have leg cramps. So those are awesome. I also like the Element brand, LMNT. They've got great flavors. They are very salty. So if you like salty, like if you like a salty margarita, you'll like these. Obviously, there's no alcohol in them, but they kind of taste like the lemon lime one kind of tastes like a margarita. I won't lie. It's delicious. And that's my favorite flavor, I think, is the lemon lime. I also like the raspberry and the orange. They also have some chili flavors, which are very odd. I tried a sample pack with spicy flavors. They're a little bit odd. I wouldn't take those on a run, but they're great if you're going shorter distances and you don't need the extra carbohydrates. Not that carbs are bad in any way, but if you just want something that's just electrolytes to add to your water, they're great. I will also drink them throughout the day. I'll drink at least one every single day, especially when I'm running. So those are fantastic. Number 11 out of 12, we've only got 12 pieces of gear. Well, I mean, if you're still listening, then you're finding this helpful, hopefully. But number 11 is compression sleeves. Now, I don't love compression sleeves. However, they are really helpful if your calves are tight, if you feel like it takes your calves a long time to warm up when you're running, if you have shin splints, they are fantastic. Obviously, if you have shin splints, take a break from running. But if you're getting over shin splints, compression sleeves are really, really helpful. They're not my favorite thing in the world. They're not the most comfortable ones in the world or things in the world. I'll share the ones that I think are more comfortable with you. I'll link those, but they are really helpful if you feel like your calves are tight. If you have shin splints, compression sleeves make a big difference. And last but not least, sunscreen. Wear sunscreen. It's important to wear sunscreen. So my favorite is the Alba Cool Sport sunscreen. It's a little bit more natural, but which is what I look for, but here is where it's a game changer. It sprays on. If it doesn't spray on, I won't do it. So this is just like spritz, spritz, spritz all over me before I head out on a run, anywhere you can see and anywhere the sun is going to hit me on a run. I put on sunscreen, and then again, most of the time I wear a hat as well. So we got to keep that skin safe, right? Okay, that's it, friends. Those are my top 12 favorite pieces of running gear. I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you some ideas for running gear that you might want to look up, you might want to check out, and maybe just an idea of what you might want to start to add to your running gear. I don't even know. What would you call it? Just add to your running gear. Like I said, you don't need a lot of gear. You don't really need anything but comfortable clothes and shoes to go on a run. You don't need anything fancy to be a runner. You don't need a fancy running watch. You don't need a running belt. You don't need, you know what? You do need Mega Babe Thigh Rescue. Please go buy that. Go buy that. But other than that, you don't need most of these things. They're just helpful. So I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you're enjoying this series as much as I am enjoying recording it for you. In the next episode, we will talk about fueling your runs. Now, this is coming from the perspective of both a seasoned runner who has run lots of distances and also a certified exercise nutrition coach. So I do actually have a background in this, and I don't talk about exercise nutrition a lot here on the podcast, or really at all, but I do keep that certification up because it is helpful both for me, for friends, and I've used it quite a bit, if only for myself. I used to coach in exercise. I don't anymore. But yeah, we'll talk about fueling because I get asked that all the time. So we'll talk about fueling before, during, after. We'll talk about hydration, all the things. So I would love to hear how you're liking this episode. If you have products that you enjoy, running gear that you enjoy that I didn't mention, share it with me. I love talking running. I love talking running gear. If you have any questions about anything I mentioned or any of this was helpful for you, please reach out to me over on Instagram at HealthyMamaChris. And if I don't chat with you in the meantime, I will catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Healthy Balanced Mama podcast. If you loved it, would you take a screenshot and share it with a friend over on Instagram and tag me in it? It helps me so much to know what you love and are taking away from each episode. If you really loved it, would you hop over to iTunes and give me a star rating and review? Every rating and review helps this podcast be seen and heard by more women who need to hear the message of balance and wellness without deprivation. It's the best free gift you could give me. And as a reminder, the information and opinions on this podcast are meant for education and inspiration only and are not to be taken as medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult with a trusted practitioner before making any changes. Have a beautiful day, friend, and I'll see you in the next episode.